Rudy Gobert was pretty insane in his first game with Minnesota after like the big trade this offseason. And I was really curious just to see how he looks on defense because of how different this team and this role is to, the team in Utah where he's played his whole career. And Rudy was stellar. He was game changing on defense. I mean, he was good on offense. He was really, really good on offense too. But his rim protection is such an asset for this team that really had to rely on like secondary forward rim protection from Jaden McDaniels and like Jay Vando in the past, where Towns kind of lacks. But Rudy gives you all that and more. It's really interesting because Rudy's role in Utah was usually this guy guarding the primary screener, playing this like mid-low drop and using his length to contest and to play 2v1s. But Minnesota has Cat doing that because Cat's not really a good backline help defender. And Rudy is incredible here. This is not something we really see him do much in Utah, but he is so scary coming over from the weak side and making rotations like this. Someone with his size and instincts and leaping ability and length, like he is a monster help defender. And these kind of corner rotations with Rudy here and Jaden McDaniels at the nail are just unbelievably difficult for teams to score on. At least they're probably going to be. Rudy just changes shots at the rim constantly. Even when he's the primary big, you see they kind of have him playing more in the corner on the weak side, which I thought was pretty interesting. Not guarding the primary screener super often. OKC plays super spread and like small, so there was a lot of like defensive differences. But Rudy really didn't play this role very often. And maybe that's because Rudy was just so dominant sitting at the rim. And OKC was trying to shoot over him, and it really wasn't working. Like, they really had no success, especially in this fourth quarter. He was just dominant. He was erasing everything. Watch him first cover up this slip by Dort. And then when this cut happens, Kyle Anderson sinks down, and Rudy immediately reacts and is able to alter the shot with his length. He's, covering gaps, doing everything at once. And this is like what a great weak side help defender does, defending from disadvantage, closing up gaps. And while Rudy definitely did this in part in Utah, like this is a whole different way of doing it. This is more like wingy forward help defense. It's just really, really cool to see. Obviously, Rudy has just the spook factor, where teams and players really don't want to shoot over him. Like Shea has Towns on an island where normally he just takes this to the rim, but because Rudy is parked right here, he doesn't, and he backs out eventually and doesn't look for the shot because he knows Rudy is lurking. And then Poku flings up a terrible layup again, presumably because he knows Poku is lurking. The Wolves broadcast is just so sick. Commented that Rudy defended the shot from the other side of the basket, and it's really true. The fear of Gobert coming over to swat this shot forces a really bad quick release kind of scoop layup there from Poku. But Gobert doesn't even really do anything. And the difference was palpable. You could really feel it when Gobert was off the floor. That big OKC run in the third quarter where they powered all the way back to take a lead was mostly with Gobert off the floor. And you can just see how different it is. There really just is nobody there to deal with guys like Shea getting to the rim because he's beating his man 1v1. He just is. And this would be Rudy if he was on the floor. And as we've seen before, he would probably be offering a hard contest. And as I mentioned, they don't like Towns as the last man help defender. So they have him in more of a nail role. And there's just not really much that the Wolves can do there without Rudy on the floor. So that interior defense is really, really impressive. And I really am excited to see him do more wingy, naily stuff. I think he could be a really impactful nail dig defender just with his length and his smarts. We see him dig here at Shea and then reach out with his insanely long tree branch arms to nab this steal to end the third quarter, and ends up hitting a really ridiculous almost 3-point floater. He was on one in this game. He was absolutely on one. There are going to be growing pains, I suspect. this kind of nail roll where Rudy's man is parked, at this side of the wing is new for him. So it's going to take him a second, I think. And he's, probably not really quick enough to be quick. I can't speak. He's probably not quick enough to react to these drives, especially from lightning, quick bursty guards like Shea. He's a little late here as well. But that's just going to be an adjustment for him. And like he's going to end up giving up a 3 in transition here just because he is probably so used to being the guy sinking all the way back into the paint in these situations where nope, Towns is down there and your man is spotting up into a wide open 3. So like there were some growing pains, but really not. Like it was a phenomenal defensive performance from Gobert. He was so dominant guarding the rim. And that is what the Timberwolves really want to do, is like disrupt with their length and force you to Gobert at the rim. And they could be a really, really devastating defensive team on it. Like with Jaden McDaniels is like a legit game-changing defender, and Gobert is just gonna be unreal on the perimeter, on the interior. This is gonna be so fun to watch.